Okay, so far this week, the President of the United States has ranted on Truth Social that he basically made the Pope and that the Pope should be grateful to him. Posted an AI image of himself in full Jesus style savior mode, then deleted it after backlash, and then told reporters he thought it was just a picture of him as a doctor. At the same time, his former Attorney General, Pam Bondi, is trying to dodge a subpoena about the Epstein investigation. And two members of Congress, one from each party, just announced that they're leaving office amid sexual misconduct allegations. This isn't a series of random scandals, it's a pattern. People at the top treating power like personal toy and only facing consequences when there's absolutely no other choice. I'm Patty. This is Politically Pomp, and today we're breaking down the week our institutions showed us just how rotten they really are, from the Pope to the Justice Department to Congress. So, let's get started. Let's start with the Pope. Pope Leo has been openly critical of the Iran war and the holy war rhetoric coming out of Washington. In response, Trump has spent days on True Social calling him weak on crime and terrible on foreign policy, and even claiming Leo wouldn't even be Pope if it wasn't for him. That alone is wild. A U.S. president insisting that he made the Pope and that the Pope owes him political loyalty. As a Catholic and as an American, that hits every church state alarm bell that I personally have. Then he went a step further. He posted an AI generated image of himself in full Jesus cosplay, red cloak, glowing light, hand over a sick person, surrounded by patriotic imagery. The message is not subtle. I'm the healer. I'm the savior. Look at me. Christians across the spectrum, including Catholic leaders in the U.S., called it offensive and blasphemous. The image quietly came down, but not because he apologized, but because the backlash got a little too loud. And then, when reporters asked him about it, he said he thought it was a picture of him as a doctor. He pointed to the Red Cross symbol and the medical outfits and basically asked us to pretend we couldn't see the halo in the Christ like poses. I don't know which is worse, that he's comfortable posting messianic fan art of himself right after attacking the Pope, or that his go to move when called out is to insult everyone's intelligence. Either way, this isn't normal presidential behavior. This is cult of personality behavior. This is what it looks like when a leader treats faith, war, and the papacy as props in his own personal brand. Now, let's talk about some accountability. The House Oversight Committee subpoenaed former Attorney General Pam Bondi to testify about how the Justice Department handled the Jeffrey Epstein case and the release of the Epstein files. Survivors and advocates have been demanding answers about why so many powerful people's names stay buried and why so much was redacted for so long. Bondi has already had one disastrous appearance on the Hill this year. Lawmakers from both parties described her as evasive and combative. So Oversight said, okay, you're under subpoena now. Come back, answer some real questions. Then, right before her scheduled position, the Justice Department sent a letter saying that because she's no longer serving as Attorney General, the subpoena no longer obligates her. In other words, the second she walks out of the office, they want to pretend Congress can't compel her to answer under the subpoena that was issued to her as the AG. Oversight members, again from both parties, have pushed back. They've said that she's still on the hook. They're keeping the subpoena in place, and contempt is on the table if she refuses to show. Here's why this matters. Congress has been dining out on the phrase Epstein accountability for a while. But when it's time to actually compel testimony from the people who handled the files, suddenly it's all technicalities about job titles and dates. Survivors get delay after delay. The powerful get yet another layer of protection. That's not a system seriously trying to uncover the truth. That's a system protecting itself. Again. And then there's Congress itself. Within hours of each other, two House members, one Democrat, one Republican, announced that they're leaving office amid sexual misconduct allegations. First, we have Representative Eric Swalwell, a Democrat from California, who was running for governor, suspended his campaign, and then said he'll resign from Congress after multiple former staffers accused him of sexual misconduct and assault. He's denying the most serious allegations, but he's also admitting to mistakes in judgment and inappropriate behavior towards staff. On the other side of the aisle, we have Tony Gonzalez, Representative Tony Gonzalez, a Republican from Texas, announced he'll file his retirement when Congress returns, after reporting revealed that he had a sexual relationship with a staffer who later died by suicide. He'd already said he wasn't running again, but new reporting and an ethics probe turned a quiet exit into a forced one. Here's the key detail. There was bipartisan momentum to expel both of them from the House. Members on both sides of the aisle were openly saying that if they didn't go, we're prepared to vote to kick them out. So what happens? They resign first. They get to control the headline. I'm stepping down. I'm filing my retirement, instead of House expels member over misconduct. And here's where the double standard just starts screaming at you. Dozens of women have accused Donald Trump of sexual misconduct, from groping and harassment to assault and even rape. He's already been found liable in civil court for sexual abuse and defamation in the Carroll case. His name shows up thousands of times in the Epstein files. In some reviews, tens of thousands of mentions across the full set, including FBI tip sheets, where a source alleged he forced an Epstein victim, someone who was about 13 or 14 at the time, so a child, to perform oral sex on him. He denies the allegations, but the documents exist and his name is everywhere in them. Yet the system bends over backwards to avoid even putting him under oath about any of it, while lower level members of Congress only face real consequences when their scandals become too loud to ignore. This isn't one party being pure and the other being evil. It's about a culture in Washington where abuse of power is tolerated at the very top, excused as old news or just allegations, and only becomes disqualifying for people further down the food chain, and even then, usually at the last possible minute. So let's put this all together. A president who attacks the Pope, post AI Messiah art of himself, and then pretends he thought it was just a wholesome doctor picture. An attorney general who treats a subpoena in an Epstein investigation as optional the moment she leaves office. Members of Congress who only step down when expulsion votes are looming, while the man at the top, with far more allegations and far more mentions in the Epstein files, faces nothing close to that level of accountability. That's what institutional rot looks like. It's not one scandal, it's a system where public office becomes a brand. Subpoenas are negotiable, and consequences only show up at the very end, even if at all. So if you're exhausted, that's kind of the point. Chaos is a feature, not a bug. The more outrageous the behavior, the more tempted we are to tune it out. And the easier it is for the same people to keep doing it behind the noise. My goal here with Politically Plump isn't to keep you stuck in outrage. It's to help you see the pattern so you can say very clearly, this is not normal. We deserve leaders in the White House, at the DOJ, in Congress, who treat power like a responsibility and not a stage prop. If this breakdown helped you connect the dots, share it with someone who's starting to feel a little numb to all of this. That's exactly who needs to know. The numbness is part of how they get away with it. And you can follow along for more here and over on my Substack. I'll have the link down in the show notes, and you can also find everything up in my profile. So I'll see you guys next time.